Welcome to another edition of Aussie-Rig-Renos. I'm Jen, and today we're looking at putting in your water tank underneath your caravan. Mine's a little Millard 14 foot, and what I noticed in a lot of the YouTube videos I'm watching is no one really discusses the placement of the tank, or not that I've found anyway. I'm seeing that a lot of people put it in front of the axle, and I think that like tucked up into the wheels right in front of the axle, and that's probably for balance. I've already got two cupboards, one cupboard either side, but two cupboards over that area, so I'm wondering if I need it further forward a little bit just to give me a little bit of front room. My ball weight is only 80 kilos at the moment, and I can go up to 200. I know that you don't really want it too far down the back because you end up wagging the tail and it'll pull down. So I'm thinking put it in front of the axle, but just a little bit forward so I can still get to my springs and to adjust brakes and all that kind of thing. If you tuck it right in there, you kind of got to jack your van up to get to anything if you have any issues with your wheels. So these are all thoughts that run through my head in the middle of the night, and I'm sure others have thought the same thing. So I do want to put a grey water tank in later, so I think I'll put that behind the axle down towards the bedroom area because that's less likely to have much in it, and you can certainly drain it as you go along, or your nearest dump point. Merlin's helping me out today. He's not a fan of storms, so he's staying quite close. We'll work through it, buddy. Okay, so here's our tank, which I believe is an 85 litre. I bought it second-hand off Marketplace, and it was in pretty good condition, but unfortunately the people had taken all of the fittings off it. So what I have done, it looks like a long rigmarole, but you kind of got to do that. If you happen to buy a tank like a Jayco tank, I've watched those, and all the fittings come with it, and it ends up a much shorter assembly. But this is my drain, so I've got the choice to turn that tap on or off, and I can hook up a click hose to it and just run that hose wherever I want for sullage and get it right away from the van or into anywhere I want. Here we've got the intake, so that's going to go, I'm yet to determine the length, so the hose is just waiting there, and into it will go a quick fill. So I've investigated these, and they're really great. They've got a tap on it, so you can stop immediately when it's full and not have your tank overflowing all over the ground when you're sort of beside the road and people queued up behind you. It just seems a lot more water efficient. And as well, you can run that. This hose will go straight to the side under the van, and I don't have to do that gravity feel of doing a plug like I've got it here. I had bought one of these to go in the side, so your normal side filler, and the principle of that is the way that they used to do it was in the side of the van, and then it goes through the side, in the wall, and down through the floor, usually through a cupboard, and gravity feeds into your water tank. Brilliant idea, but it's kind of accessible. Some of them now are locking. This one just opens up, so it doesn't lock. So, you could get someone nasty, put anything in your tank, and, it opens it up for spiders or gremlins to go in. The tank I took out of here had one of these and no lid, and the tank was full of dead mice. So you never know what you can get in a tank. So let's get back to this. So this side is my feed to the pump. So I've gone for plastic hose, which doesn't kink. This is a straight line, straight to the side of the van. These hoses will kink, so beware. You don't want to kink in your hose when you've got a water intake coming from the tank to your pump. So pump-wise, I've gone with an Ozito, and this is a pretty good buy. This was $129 at Bunnings. It comes with multiple fittings for either side. It also comes with its own power source, 12 volt, and its on-off switch. It also comes with an inline water filter. Now, I went to an irrigation pump suppliers, Bunnings and Mitre 10. I couldn't get an inline water filter other than these. So it's difficult. So I went with this, buying a new pump, and it looks really, oh sorry, that's not it, that's the inline water filter. So all the fittings will fit this same hose, and this is really good. It's not going to kink. So you can do your elbow joints and just use your little, screwdriver, what do they call these, ring ties. So that will all work. And then the other thing that I'm noticing when people are putting it up, here are my holders. They don't put anything inside here. Now, this is a really good idea. I'm using old floor vinyl tiles, and I've cut them to size, and I'm using the vinyl cement, which will cement that will grip this onto metal, wood, or concrete. So it seems the appropriate thing rather than the silicone. So we're going to put those on here and put a cable tie around them just to be certain. So they're going to stop that side from rubbing on this and causing a wear in the side of the tank, because there is movement. Now, the other thing that I see people missing out on the YouTube videos, and I just thought I would mention, is putting some metal underneath. So I either cut a bit of this flat, which is very thin aluminium, and what that's going to do is sit right across the bottom of the tank under the hangers, and it's going to stop stones. I noticed with quite a few, they actually sell the fittings to put up the tank is a sheet aluminium that goes right up the side and then across, so you can really screw it all the way along, and you're not reliant on just two holders of 85 kilo thing. So there's a lot of thoughts go into the water tanks, and there's a lot of information out there. So I'm either going to use these two helicopter panels because I've got them and they're the right length and they're pretty sturdy, and then they're actually lighter than the sheeting, so sort of. And the sheeting isn't quite long enough, so I'm not going to go out and buy more. I've got two bits, so I could join two together. And you've got the option, you could cut that sheeting and then go across the bottom and up the side, and that would totally protect your panel from any rocks flying up. And remember, when you're driving, ever had a flat tire? You get screws, nails, all kinds of things, glass, and they will fly up. And so the worst thing that could happen is you get to your destination and you've got no water left in your tank, and probably no silicone and things with you to repair. So it is a good thing. I would take with you some sealant. You've got your choice of probably something like this, just the Sally's roof and gutter sealant. Translucent will just about heal anything, and gaffer tape so you can go over the top. The other thing I was going to say about this and my filter, when I fill up from a water station, I do go through this filter, and I only use a water grade hose. So these are the best things to have. I keep a pencil case in here, and the pencil case is filled with all sorts of adapters and things for various different taps. So you never know what you might get. Like this fitting here, you always need the smaller one and the bigger one, because I've been to many camps where it's only this one, and other camps where you need that to fit onto the tap to fill up. Okay, next thing, when you put your tank together, you of course need a breather, and that's why the breather is at the top of the tank. I saw another one the other day, and they actually spun the tank upside down and had this as the inlet to the pump, the water feed. That's possible too, because obviously it's at its very base level. But I got to say, there's a reason why they put these here, because they're slightly above the very base level. The grooves underneath like this hold any silt. So if you were to have your fill from the very baseline, yes, you're going to get the most water you possibly can out of the tank, but do you really want to? You should have filled up by then. So I'm thinking this is better as an inline, and if I shift this here, let's just drop that off. Here's another one which can be drilled in and used for your feed. So you can do a digital feed, which I'll probably add later on, for monitoring your water supply. So you can feed it in there, and you've got this little gap here. So if you've got any gizmos, you can put them there and maybe run the actual box here, so it's not adding to the height of your tank. I did measure under the van, and if you have a look in between the chassis rails, you've got nearly 100 mil above here. So you've got about that much before you're hitting the deck. Here we are, the finished item. We've put the vinyl tiles on with adhesive and just put a little cable tie on them to hold them till they're fully dry. They will prevent the chafing on the water tank in the grooves. Now, I realised I didn't say too much about what fittings I had used and sizes and components. Going into this tank, the very inside is 13 mil, and that had to have an adapter because there's almost none of these sort of fittings, especially this one that takes a hose. They're 15 mil, so I had to have an adjustment coming out. So what we did a brass fitting, a 13 through to a 20, then did a 20 adjuster, and then this little thing feeds into a 20 mil. So it's a long process. You'll find even like this, the water feed, you could put a huge hose over it, but it really didn't need it, and I had to reduce down to get down to this size. So that's why we've put just the joiners, so you don't have to buy all the hoses. The little joiners are available, and as much as it made a longer sheath to poke out, it did work out better. So it gives more join for that going in, and not just little short things which could fall off. So you are better to have the length there for strength. The other thing I hadn't mentioned is I've got the bolts ready. You're not going to screw to your chassis, you're going to bolt it with nuts and washers. So have them ready and decide what you're using, and I will pre-drill once I've marked them out. I can't drill these now because I don't know on the chassis rail if it'll be here or here. So it's better if you go dead center, odds are the chassis rail will want it here. So wait until you've marked it up, and then pre-drill your bolt holes to that size or a little bit bigger, so you can go straight through when you put the tank up, and you're not left underneath trying to fiddle around and do all those things, especially when you're working alone like I do. So I will pre-drill all of those, and I'll do a very short video when I've done those. Thanks. Okay, so now we see the whole tank installed, and you can see how I've done it. I've put it just a little bit in front of the axle because the size of my fittings and the size of the tank designate that I really needed to bring it forward from the actual axle, and it allows me that I can crawl in through the other way or through here and actually get to the axle and the electric brakes, etc. So we've put it in. My fittings up top, I've added 2 screws. So I've got 1 screw done up to the top with washers, and then I've added a Nylex screw underneath that just in case. So if it wiggles down, it's sort of got two chances. I did put my protectors underneath, although I will perfect this and I think I'll put a full aluminium casing around. These fittings, the first one leaked, so I realised I hadn't put enough of the white tape, plumber's tape, on it. You really need to tape every single fitting. So I ended up using waterproofing compound. On my inlet, I've actually added, hanging here is a little bag of soap. So when I'm out and about, if I need to, I've got the outlet here for water, so I can just put on a little bit of water and wash my hands if I'm really filthy or muddy. So saves taking that inside the van. And here's our intake, so our inlet of water, and that just tucks up and stays there. So it's travelled 2 lots of 5 hours and didn't fall down, so it's just held there by a bit of bungee cord. So then this comes around and feeds all the way through. You can see down here, let's just zoom in, I've added a non-return valve there. Now you do have to be careful that your non-return valve is the right capacity for your pump. So I think this was about 250 whatevers, and some of them on the shelf were 500, which would have been too great for the sucking ability of the pump, but this one works really well. The orange is just to make sure that it's all held, the silver bits are held up, and what I found is when the tank is over full, it can bulge out. So this is like first draft. I will revisit this and have another look. And as I say, if I put the aluminium underneath, it's sort of good. But you can see where the actual chassis joists are. I can't really add any more legs. And because I've got the handbrake cable coming through, you've got to be real careful what you have near it. Alright. Now, a really very, very important bit, if you're not going to listen to anything else, listen to this. The Ozito pump that I got had the instructions printed wrong. So if you're like me and you go by the pictures, it had it right, and then the full assembly showing it had the wrong way to put it in and out. So this part here, in and out, it had them reverse. So I had the barrel coming down here and I had to turn it around. So be very careful with your instructions. The pump works wonderfully. I've got room at the back there to put my 12-volt hot water system in, which I'm going to do soon. And let's have a look. The end result was, the tank is nearly empty, I've got to say, because I've just come back. So yeah, that timed it really well. I actually ended up coming home thinking, oh, the tank's getting a bit low. And there you go, it was dead empty. This pump, see, that's going, trying to pump, and it will stop in a minute. There we go. So it will pump. It's probably sucked up a little bit more. Yeah, see, that's what it's doing. No problem, we just turn it off so it's not straining. Just a little addendum, I've just ordered this blue water level indicator. I really like the way that the indicator shows. It's a little bit better than just you know, high, medium or low. This shows a little fuller, so really like this one. So that's on its way. Cost wise was about $70. Look, 8 days away, I had a great time. I've just emptied the van and stripped the bed. I've really had a really good time and everything worked wonderfully in the van. The fridge coped really well. That's just been emptied. This little fan, gotta say, best thing I've bought for the van. fantastic breezeway fan, 12 volt. They're through BCF. They're about $79 and I picked it up for 20 bucks on Marketplace, brand new. This is the shower and our connection. So what I've actually worked out, if I get the hot water system 12 volt and connect it through, I put 2 outlets on into here, a cold and a hot hoses, but I'm only going to need the one with this hose system, because I'm going to have it so that the hot water system is in the cupboard with the pump. It's tuned to the right heat level or percentage. They say it goes up to 70 degrees. Well, that's Fahrenheit, so it's better to have it at your own level, so it will pump straight in and not need hot water, cold water to mix with it. So you'll save a bucket load of water, just not having to mix your hot water. So the little porta potty worked really well. It's a Thetford and it's only a 12 litre. It lasted, using every day, it lasted 5 days. So that was really good. We'll do a better wind up later, but this is just more about the water tank and how to fit it and the balance on the front. It brought my full tank, it brought my drawbar, the the ball weight, up to just over 100. So I'm allowed 200 with my car. So it was well within limits, and I think I perfectly positioned my water tank. Thanks so much for watching. Really do appreciate, we're getting a lot of comments and a lot of new subscribers, so welcome aboard. Please reach out. Don't forget to like each video, because that shows me the stats of if you like what I'm doing, because I've got a lot more to do. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.